It's not, it seems, a good time for football games. The new free-to-play PES, or eFootball as it's now known, has just become the worst reviewed game of all time on Steam, and FIFA 22's Legacy Edition on Switch is such a blatant cash grab that even IGN are joining in on the pile-on. And in fact, even the PS5 version is currently sitting at a 2.7 user rating on Metacritic, where accusations that it's nothing more than a $60 gambling simulator abound. And then into this atmosphere jinx and weaves Super Arcade Football, a mobile port with an uninspired name and a splash screen that looks like it was drawn by a 10-year-old in MS Paint. From this inauspicious beginning, however, it then proceeds to wipe the floor with all competition and crown itself, no questions asked, the best football game on Switch. By a distance. And this isn't hyperbole, it really is a fantastic game and has enough content to keep you busy for dozens of hours in its single player alone, and that's not even counting the easy to set up local multiplayer or the option to play online matches. Now the first thing many people are going to think when they see this is Sensi. So let's get two things out of the way first. One, yes, this is an unashamed imitation of Sensible Soccer, and two, no, this is not as good as Sensible World of Soccer, because nothing is. SWOS came out over 25 years ago, and if in the quarter century since that release nothing has come close to dethroning it, it's pretty unfair to hold that up as the standard for a new title to meet. The real question is, how close can this get to capturing some of that magic? And the answer here is close enough to easily be worth a try for fans of Sensi, football, or even just arcade style fun in general. For those of you who've never played a Sensible Soccer game or clone before, on the surface things are as basic as you could possibly imagine. Games are played from a top-down perspective, you control one player at a time with the computer auto-switching you to the nearest player to the ball when you're out of possession, and there being just one button to pass, shoot, cross, head, tackle, take a corner, goal kick or throw in, or pull off the game's ultimate move, the overhead bicycle kick. There is, however, a lot of finesse to how exactly you pull off each of these moves, with quick passing and well-timed challenges or diving headers being absolutely vital to your chances of winning. There is also an extreme amount of swerve that can be put on the ball when hitting powerful shots, and attaining masteries of these skills is no easy feat. What Super Arcade Football does so well is to recapture that simplicity mixed with hidden depth of the original Sensi games. It is not quite as fast, frantic or fluid as those titles, but it is still very fast, frantic and fluid, and just a hell of a lot of fun. It's hard to explain quite why this or Sensi are so fun and so addictive, but just trust me, they are, and if this game grabs you, it can become an absolute obsession. One small misstep I do have to mention with the gameplay here, however, I think is the referees, who do seem to get involved a little too much, with fouls being given seemingly at random, and personally I found it best to turn fouls completely off when given the option. And options, by the way, are something the game offers a lot of. You can turn off fouls, you can change the game's speed, the weather, the surface, you can play on an indoor pitch with no boundaries, you can put the keepers to sleep, change the size of the goals, add speed boost panels, oil slicks, or even meteor showers, and all of these are fun additions that should keep things feeling fresh for a very long time indeed. There are lots of little details in the presentation too, with players leaving skid marks after sliding tackles, half a dozen different referees with their own little animated headshots, animated advertising hoardings and TV cameras around the edge of the pitch, and players' heads being bigger and clearer than in Sensible Soccer itself. These larger heads, however, can sometimes cause a small problem whereby certain jersey colours can be difficult to differentiate. The game auto-selects an away jersey for the away team, and some of these are not always the best choices, with the new colour clashing worse than the home jersey would have. This also deprives Old Firm fans of seeing their teams ever square off in the traditional blue versus green and white, as the game will always force one of them to play in away colours, with Celtic, who in this game are somewhat bizarrely called Viking, being given an orange top when they face Rangers. And as anyone who knows much about football in Glasgow will tell you, that is about as likely as Andy Gorham being invited for afternoon tea at the Vatican. And as this fact that Celtic are called Viking ought to show you, there are of course no official licenses here, meaning no real player or club names. However, There is a thoroughly decent selection of teams on offer, and I think the devs have done a fantastic job giving them and the players names that tell you who they're supposed to be without breaking any image laws. Some are simple enough, Arsenal are Gunners, PSG are just Paris, but some may need a bit of working out, with Purple Lily being Fiorentina and Rebuilt Castle Fort Newcastle. The same goes for player names, most are just simple vowel swaps with Maldini becoming Maldino or Pirlo Parlo, but others make funnier changes like Ferguson becoming Fergus' daughter. And as you can probably tell from the names mentioned so far, each team's lineup is not an attempt to replicate the 21-22 squad. Instead, each roster is made up of legends of that particular club, which I think perfectly suits the nostalgic old school gameplay and will probably bring a lot of smiles to a lot of faces as fans work out and then remember who everybody is. Now, as mentioned, the game offers multiplayer and online play, providing a potentially infinite amount of content. But it also includes a surprisingly hefty amount for single players to do too. There's a story mode complete with little talking head cutscenes that sees you take control of a nearly bankrupt club and return them to the top of the football pyramid. This alone will take a good few hours to get through. Then there are a good couple of dozen leagues and tournaments for you to try your hand at, with the game also offering an achievement system and a mobile style 3-star rating for your performance in each game played in story mode. One problem that presents itself here is that the stars are often tied to stats like number of shots on target, but these don't seem to register correctly either for or against your team. And that is about it for Super Arcade Football. If you're already a fan of Sensi, I think the key thing is to go in knowing, as you really should know, that this is not, and to all intents and purposes, cannot be as good as the best football game, in fact just one of the best video games full stop, ever made. However, it is a very competent imitation, and with Sensi neither available nor ever likely to be available on Switch, this is a pretty fantastic alternative that offers a wide range of ways to play and really does a great job of recapturing the sheer arcade-style fun of the original Sensi games. There are some unnecessary issues like the jersey colours and overly officious referees, but overall I can't recommend this highly enough. I'd give it a 9 out of 10, and honestly, even if you don't like football, you may still find you like this game. A couple of small things to point out before I finish, by the way. One is that the game is 50% off until the middle of October, and at that sale price of just $5, it is an absolute steal. The other is that there is another game on the eShop called Super Arcade Soccer, so do make sure you're getting the right one if this review does convince you to give the game a try. Of course, let us know your thoughts if you do try it, and how you think it compares to its inspiration, and thanks very much for watching. See you next time. Cheers.